Hello, all you people. I thought about doing something different today. I'm going to upload a version of this for members and patrons so you guys can watch this ahead of time. And I'm not going to cut anything, I'm just going to go through it. And on top of that, I'm going to be setting up the map how I would do a normal episode. And then I'm going to record the way I do an episode. So it's going to be like kind of back and forth. But just think of this as a longer video, put it in the background, or just wait for the actual map breakdown to come out if you don't want to go through the process with me right now. It's up to you. And just warning, I have a new idea. I call it the Great Big Death Chart, and I'm going to be filling it with every single death of every single character that said anything at all in the show, even if it was like, hey, and then they died. I got these little chips and I'm using the wiki. I'm not looking through the wiki. Don't get it twisted. I'm going episode per episode in the wiki, looking at who died in that episode, even if their character only said one word, and I'm adding them as a token on this chart. Eventually, there'll be tokens stacked up of commoners, and the whites are going to be Starks, Greyjoys, so on and so forth down the line. Late in the season, we can look at the Great Big Death Chart and see just how many people have died. I think that's interesting. So I'm just going to be going back and forth here. Right now, I'm working on 3x1, and I'm giving their biography and I'm pasting it into the token. But we're going to just go through this one by one. If you were to think the top right corner is the most important, most surprised by, in my opinion, the bottom corner here is the most surprised, but least important. Over here is least surprised, least important, most important, least surprised. So I am literally tracking my feelings on every single thing so we can visually see it. And this will stay till the end of the show. We can go back and see like how I felt about literally everything. I'm going to add factions that I think are going to stay around for a while. Yeah. I'm going ham on this kind of stuff, but honestly, this going through this slow process of doing this kind of thing helps me solidify my thoughts. It's just chilling and taking the show at my own pace. I feel like you guys know so much, it bogs my mind down with all of your opinions, which isn't a bad thing. This is all about you in the end of the day, but yeah, I'm just trying to do it in a way that makes sense for me, which is slow, methodical thinking about things. I hope you find some interest in this because it's interesting to me. So we'll start in the beginning of the episode. Sam is attacked by a bunch of White Walkers and whites, and they get away, but when Sam is about to be killed, they come back and help him in the beginning of this episode. And it really does, when we saw it, solidify that this is the threat in the world. And I'm assuming everyone's gonna try to be moving. Oh my goodness gracious. Everyone's gonna be trying to move south, including wildlings, White Walkers trying to go south too. Jon Snow gets to the camp of the wildlings and meets Mance Rayder. Jon does his best negotiating tactics, and I think it's a really important scene to set this up because we've heard so much about Mance Rayder, and seeing him for the first time and Jon getting it wrong was funny. Just shows how much he doesn't know yet about things and how green he is as a person who's trying to deal with like responsibilities for the first time. And so he makes like little mistakes like that make him seem innocent, and maybe even it helps in a way for him to seem like less of a threat to them when he's making goofy mistakes like that, or goofy like bowing to the king above the wall. And it puts people off from thinking of him as a threat, but they still do. But I don't know how many wildlings are in this camp in the north, but I'm assuming they're like somewhere tucked away in these mountains because that's where they are, like in between some mountains. And we get the scene with Cersei, Tyrion, where Bronn comes in later, but they have another discussion about what Cersei thinks Tyrion's motivation is going to be now, and telling Tywin things. And Tyrion's just concerned with the fact that his father never came to visit him after the battle. And the reason for that is that everyone doesn't like Tyrion, right? There's so many people telling Tywin that he was doing nothing, he did nothing, he was drinking the whole time, blah 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 blah, and so on and so forth. So Tywin doesn't know the full story because when Tywin interacts with Tyrion directly, say in season 2 or season 1, when Tyrion is at his war council and he's the only one making sense, Tywin acknowledges Tyrion. I thought you were a stunted fool. But he's getting so much twisted information at this point where he hasn't directly communicated with Tyrion about it, that he's already made up his mind, his decision about what Tyrion was doing this whole time. And he doesn't realize that Tyrion actually was one of the main reasons why the city kept from falling, and he led them. And I think it's a lot to tell about what's to come for these characters and where Tyrion is going to fall when it comes to this, because in the end of the day, it's hard to know. I think we might get a resolution with Sansa this season, still being a prisoner, if I were to guess. Cersei Lannister is, I think she's afraid of losing her power because the king has suitors and is going to be married eventually, so she will not be the queen anymore. And Tywin Lannister is taking a firm grip on the situation in King's Landing. And I think he's trying to get his people in control, including Joffrey. Whether he's controllable or not, I don't know. I would imagine he's able to control him to an extent, but not fully. He probably understands that himself. We get another scene with Sir Davos, and he's stranded on a little spit of island after the Battle of Blackwater, probably just swam there after the fact. Has been there for quite a while because he looks really messed up. And the fact that they go back to this character a lot makes me think that he's more important than we're letting on, because the first thing we see of the Baratheon faction in season 3 is Sir Davos, pointing towards this character is even more important than Stannis. Because if Stannis was the most important part, we would go to him first. But that's just an idea. It could be wrong, but after this, we get a conversation between Tywin and Tyrion, and you can really see that he does not realize what Tyrion did, or he's willfully ignoring it. He's the kind of person, like a lot of these Lord characters, who make judgments like immediately and stick to them. They don't like changing their mind. If they've gotten enough information, they're like, okay, I don't need any more information. So whatever Tyrion tells him, and Tyrion does not do a good job conveying the fact that he's making jokes to his father. His father respects like power, obviously not joking around about that kind of scenario. So if he really wanted to make an impression on his father, which I don't even think is possible, because this conversation devolves into basically him just saying that he hates him and he wishes he was dead. I don't think that relationship's going to get any better. It's probably going to get worse. And I'm interested to see how Tyrion deals with this. He's had multiple opportunities to get out of the city and leave. And I think that's truly probably what he should do, is just get out of this situation and go somewhere else and try to do something else. But he's so bound and determined to prove people wrong or to end them, to play the game, to eliminate his enemies, like so many other people are doing. We get another scene with Littlefinger claiming he wants to help Sansa, and they're speaking on the docks in King's Landing, probably far enough away from people to hear them. So they're having like a more intimate conversation about these things. They're with Shay, and Roz is there as well. One of his basically secretaries at this point, but also she works for him as well. He has a plan to take her with him. Now, I don't believe that's probably the best idea because Littlefinger can't be trusted, but he comes off as someone who you should trust. And then when you break that trust with someone like Catelyn Stark, she knows now that not to trust Littlefinger, I hope. But someone like Sansa, who hasn't seen what Littlefinger's capable of yet, is really just investing herself in Littlefinger because he seems so calm and composed and like he knows what's going on and he claims that he does. Sansa's putting a lot of faith in Littlefinger that he's eventually going to help her out. It's not to help her, it's to help him. It always is. And I'm curious when the moment the switch in her mind's going to happen where she realizes he's not here to help me, he's helping himself and that kind of thing. And I'm curious what angle he's playing to. He's always playing an angle. He's always trying to do something. He's always trying to help a side, but in the end, he's sowing discord in everything. So it falls apart and he can assume the throne. He thinks about it all the time. I think he thinks if he makes enough problems for everybody, eventually the House of Cards will fall and he can step in and be the king. He basically wants to be the last man standing in all of this, and his goal is to end everybody, kill everybody. Daenerys Targaryen's in the scenes on the boat headed towards Astapor, I believe, purchase a slave army. She's incrementally grown. So in the first season, it was more of getting her bearings, getting her brother off her back, taking command of her Khalasar after Khal Drogo has died, birthing the dragons, which gave her a sense of stability. And now, last season 2 is more about commanding, learning her place, how to talk to people, which she's probably not really great at, but being a leader, I think she is. And she has the dragons, they're growing up pretty fast and they're on their way. Another note that I come by a lot is she is down to very few like captains, I would say, or people who are on her side that are protecting her. Obviously, she has a lot of people around, but there's not a lot of dedicated people. I think these people are following her more or less out of faith, but that faith could always be lost. She's going to continue to grow. Is it going to start to grow exponentially and then plateau off? Because she's had a lot of success and is tipping towards the upward. How much she's growing? We'll go over here. Astapor is over here. Yaro's Yunkai. And last season, I made a prediction that she's probably going to hit all of these cities. I don't know if she's going to conquer them for herself or what. I assume like she's not going to get along with these people, is all I'm going to say. So I would assume they're probably going to conquer all of these cities. It would help their cause, give them a lot of power, leverage, leeway, people, everything they need. And I don't know what dynamic the slaves are going to have into it. If she's going to use the slaves, if she's going to free the slaves, it's really up in the air. Her trajectory is going to be to go to Westeros. There's no doubt about it. When that'll happen, I don't know. After Sir Davos is freed in that scene, he just goes to the pirate, tells the pirate, I need to help Stannis still. The pirate's, nah, I'm out. And so he goes back and basically immediately he's thrown in jail for disobeying Melisandre. We're going to put Sir Davos in prison in Dragonstone. That kind of not didn't work out for him. And yeah, I'm not sure what he's thinking at this point. He's like throwing all of his most loyal people into dungeons, and I think his justice is overreaching now. It's not justice. He's just becoming tyrannical. Stannis, who was a level-headed person who had a firm hand, but is becoming more and more twisted by Melisandre. Yeah, it's just not good. And we get another scene with Lady Margaery Tyrell after their proposal to Joffrey are touring the city, I would assume, in carriages, and Margaery decides to stop and flea bottom in King's Landing. Her goal is to talk to the orphans of the Battle of Blackwater, and she's showing us what she does, what she's capable of, how she throws her weight around. It is honestly desperately needed. You can see that the House Tyrell they're as cunning and manipulative as all of the other factions vying for the throne and King's Landing and all of the backstabbing, but she understands there is such a thing as playing towards the people. And that's something Joffrey has been terrible at. He got into that riot in the second season where he lost a lot of people and Sansa Stark was almost taken, and he doesn't know how to do that. So I think that Margaery is going to do some good for him, even if it doesn't change him. it's going to put a perception that there is a caring figure in King's Landing that cares about everyday people and wants them to do well. It's going to do amazing work to settling all of the chaos that's going on in King's Landing. It's huge. It's more than I think he realized he would get out of this marriage. And I think the Tyrells coming into it, obviously there's two heads fighting for power here. It is not just a simple marriage. It's one side wants a queen and the other side has a king. So it is a power struggle. Even though they're getting married, it's a power struggle. It's not completely peaceful. There still is games going on. Margaery's reputation with the common folk of King's Landing growing, but it doesn't necessarily translate to Joffrey's. Having them be wed does help him, but it could also be a situation where she's trying to gain favor for her house and not necessarily the king himself. But I think it's a double game. It's she's trying to gain favor for her house over the Lannister house. And I think Cersei realizes that, and that's why she's so jealous and upset about it. And she's so used to ruling with an iron fist, as her father has told her. And who cares about the common people? Just beat them down, beat them to submission, make them do things. Whereas Margaery realizes there needs to be a little more nuance to it. Eventually, with that kind of mindset, you could just be walking somewhere and then there's going to be someone who gets it in their mind that they want to take you out. It could be a common person, it could be any number of things, but I think creating this goodwill is going to go a long way to fixing a lot of those things. And we got the scene with dinner, after which Margaery did her charitable work and Joffrey speaks of it and he condemns his mother for kind of her narrow-minded views and claiming them to be victims in the riots, making him look weak in front of his wife, which he is intelligent for realizing that, even if it is out of just sheer spite and shame that he feels that someone's going to see him as weak. It is a good tool to seem strong in front of your allies, quote unquote, in this rival house who's now being married to you. Margaery comes off as a more intellectual, more caring person in this scene. Cersei does not like it. She tries to do everything she can to flip it for her gain, but she is not able to. And this is the first time we've seen another woman challenge Cersei and win in sort of a debate dinner kind of setting, not in public. Obviously, you don't want to do that in public. Cersei is crazy, and I think Margaery realizes that, so she's not going to publicly challenge Cersei, but she will privately challenge her in front of her to-be husband, obviously. Now we get the scene with the Unsullied for the first time. We see, I don't even know this guy's name, Van, whatever, the slaver guy. I'll call him the slaver man from now on. And Missandei go his like interpreter, the person who deals with all the people for him, also a slave, I believe. They go to check out the Unsullied. They ask for what they have capable of to selling, and they have 8,000 Unsullied to buy. And they go through the whole process of explaining their training and what they had to do. And Daenerys does not seem pleased. It is not something she is happy about doing. I don't think she wants to buy these slaves. And to be honest, if anything we have learned about Daenerys is the fact that she is not going to let something she thinks is wrong from happening. I can probably easily guess that she is going to do something to take these slaves and kill these people. It is such a simple plot line that I could almost guess it's going to happen. But we will see how that progresses, how that takes place, and it will tell a lot about her character, how she deals with this situation, how she wrestles with the fact that these people are slaves. She sees all the slaves hanging on crucifixes and how she goes about dealing with it. Will tell a lot about what she will do in the future to enemies she believes are wrong. And by doing these things, by getting herself accustomed and acclimated to acting in a way, even against abhorrent people, will tell us how she will deal with less abhorrent, more gray characters later, because she seems to believe what she wants to do is right. And I don't think the grayness really matters to her. It's either you're on my side or not. And then at the end of the show, the biggest giant reveal of them all, where did Sir Barristan Selmy go when he was discarded in season 1? I've wondered this. He's been sitting on the side of my map breakdown in the where did he go pile, and he appears here. It makes a lot of sense. He didn't want to give up his Kingsguard. It is a thing he does for life. He takes his oath seriously. And on top of this, he's one of the best swordsmen ever in the Seven Kingdoms. The question earlier was she's running low on trusted allies. This is the exact thing she needed at the exact time. She has a lot of luck in this regard. This man could probably have perished on the way to get to her, but has gotten to her regardless and has pledged himself to her. So she has another giant person in her corner who can defend her, who can advise her, and who is just. And not to say Jorah Mormont isn't, but he's also someone who was exiled from the Seven Kingdoms to be exiled. She has more of a moral figure, someone who has standing in Westeros, which is a big thing. She needs people on her side from Westeros. In the end of the day, that is the key. You need to be able to rule. She has dragons, so she can force them to follow her, like her ancestors did in the past. I think it really does help to have people on your side from Westeros, and I think she's going to learn that more and more. I don't know how long she's going to be in Westeros before she takes the throne. I'm assuming she does. There's no way that I'm not going to say there's no way, but there's always a way in Game of Thrones for something to happen. It is a huge break for her that she needed, and obviously he saved her in that scene from an assassin, so he's going to be another set of eyes to help her, to follow her, to be with her, and it is more of a building block for her, and we will see how it goes. We're briefly going to look at the deaths before I end the video. If I'm missing anyone that needs to die, or if you think that I'm forgetting anyone, Sandor Clegane has left the city, so I'm going to de-affiliate him with the Lannisters. I'm going to put him somewhere in the middle here where there really isn't, like where the normal people are. I don't know what happened to the Mountain. I don't know what happened to Kevin Lannister. Varys, I'm going to move him up a little bit. Peter Baelish, I'm going to move him up a little bit. Those are characters that have been really in the whole series, and I've rarely put them in danger, but this season could change everything. They could be in danger a lot more. Pycelle, I'm going to put him in. Tommen Baratheon, I haven't seen at all. Lancel Lannister, I don't think he's important this season. Bronn, I'm going to push him up a little bit. Joffrey Baratheon. Salladhor Saan, I'm going to put down. I don't know these characters. This character has fallen off, so I'm going to put him here. Brienne of Tarth up with Jaime Lannister because they're traveling together and it's dangerous for them. The dragons are, I would assume, safe for now. Sansa Stark, her conclusion could be of a death. Davos Seaworth, I'm going to move him down. He's captured, but I don't. They're all north of the wall, so I'm going to put them all in About to Die. Because they almost did. Like, literally almost died. In their scenes, Oren Halfhand is dead. He died last season, right? I'm going to put him there. Theon Greyjoy is captured. Maester Luwin is dead. I didn't do a great job at killing people last season. Jon Snow is with the wildlings. All these characters, Mance Rayder, could all just disappear overnight. Great John Umber, I haven't even seen him. Catelyn Stark's a prisoner. He can go up there. I'm going to move these three little guys, Hot Pie Gendry and Arya Stark, up a little bit because they're in the middle of nowhere. Bronn is taken from the City Watch guards. To be honest, I'm going to move Joffrey Baratheon into About to Die because there's quite a few people who hate him. I'm moving Tyrion Lannister back out of About to Die. I think he's in danger still, but not so much. Not as much as he was in a siege, right? Cersei Lannister, I'll put her up a little bit. Gregor Clegane we haven't seen. Kevin Lannister we haven't seen. Lancel. People we haven't seen in a while, I'm just not putting them in danger because I just don't see them. Obviously, their characters can just die off screen at any given moment. We could just hear, Sir Gregor Clegane died. There's nothing for me to, I really don't care. I'm not gonna speculate on things I don't know about. And if I don't know, I'm not gonna put a lot of effort into trying to think about, oh, where are they and what are they doing? Obviously he's in war, but he's the Mountain. He literally is like an unkillable killing machine. You could probably cut his head off and he'd still be alive. No prominent deaths in this first season. I'd say that, but I gotta go through it. That's about it, guys. This is the longest breakdown I've ever recorded. I'm going on 2 hours of recording. Jacking Hagar, I'll put that. Yeah, he disappeared. Janos Slint disappeared too. All these people, I'm just gonna put them. If I never see them again, it's probably that guy. Roz is getting more important. She has a role now, and I'm gonna put her next to Peter Baelish. The Pyromancer I'll put to the side because we really haven't heard about Wildfire anymore. Rast. Is he North with everybody? Gilly is out in the middle of nowhere. Sir Dantos Holland. I'm just going to put him to the side. We haven't seen him anymore. And Daisy. I think she died. Did she not die with Joffrey in that room? It was very unknown. So I'll just put her like up here to the side. And we've sorted out our lists. There's last season to episode 1 this season. So if you want to look at those quickly, the front row of this side, the middle of the new season, the middle of last season, how I thought, and deaths of last season. And no deaths so far this season. Not important ones. I have deaths that I put on from this episode in the great big death chart. And if you guys aren't aware of what this means, I added this recently, and it is every single on-screen death tracked. So some of these are like I attached died on scene into a bundle, and I can stack the deaths up so we can go through. I have Gregor's, Clegane, Stallion, Dothraki, random Dothraki, and yeah, so I'm looking forward to seeing how this looks in the end. And currently, these are the counts on each faction: Dorne, Tyrell, Lannister, Greyjoy, Stark, Night's Watch, Wildlings, Unaffiliated, Vale, Riverlands, Baratheon, Targaryens. The total on-screen death count is at 101 as of season 3, episode 1. I want to add on-screen or discussed by a character who said this many people died, or etc., etc. And I have a section in the members where we did this whole part casually. I went through and built it out, but I got Sir Vardis here, Willis Wade. I got every single character, even if their name wasn't mentioned, even if they didn't say anything, on screen deaths. And obviously, I got the other characters. And if you guys forget, this axis is how surprised we were by the death. This axis is how important we believe the death was. That's it for the opening season of this map breakdown. We humbly appreciate all the support you've given us, and we try to give it back to you at least tenfold. Give you a range of content that not many other reactors are going to do. And I've been thinking about catchphrase for the channel, and I think a good one is probably lore meets reactions. I'm a lore guy. I'm a history guy. I love that kind of stuff. I'm less of a reactor than I am that. And I wish I could create a channel that was more focused on lore and stuff like that. But I'm also getting into Game of Thrones for the first time. So there's a lot of learning that I'm doing and a lot of that kind of stuff I'm doing for the first time. And it's a unique experience. I don't know if anyone else is doing this on YouTube. So I'm forging my own path, cutting down my own way, because I don't think another casual first time watcher has ever broken down the show quite like this. So I really hope this gets some traction, because I would love to do this more and to make a real go at YouTube with this. I'm really excited for the future of the channel and for you guys to see this and to comment and to let me know and give your advice and suggestions on what we should do with the map breakdowns going forwards, what kind of questions you want to ask me. And thank you for watching the map breakdown. If you liked the video, please like and subscribe. It helps us get recognition on our videos, and we'll react to more in the future. Thank you.